After weeks of threats, tariffs, wild insults, and high-pressure moves, Donald Trump just crossed a whole new line against Canada, and this time it's not about trade deals, fiery speeches, or petty personal shots. It's straight-up interference.
Prime Minister, what do you make of the Trump administration's meetings with Alberta separatists and the comments of Secretary Bessent? Is this foreign interference from the U.S.?
The governments that are going to make a difference to Canada, to Alberta, to Canada, are at this table, I guess alongside with municipalities and working with our Indigenous partners. And the focus of the meeting last night, today, the meeting of the Council of Federation before that, was how we come together and build. How we build a better country, how we build safer communities. A number of specific points were just referenced by Premiers Eby and Smith from addressing extortion, crime in the community. I know Premier Ford and I have been very focused on this as well, as we have across the country. I appreciate the support of the premiers, all the premiers for Bill C-14. It's part of a bigger picture of measures that need to be taken. And just the power, I'm going to stop on this, just the sheer power of what we're starting to do and intend to do on the energy side, being stronger together, linking together our systems, doubling the size of our electricity grid, extending our clean energy advantage, doing it in a way that's affordable for Canadians, using all our sources of energy to build this economy.
The Trump administration is now getting cozy with separatist movements inside Canada, stirring the pot like never before. And then boom, Mark Carney stepped in and shut it down today, loud and clear. Here's how it all blew up. Reports came out saying officials tied to Trump's team had secret meetings with Alberta separatist groups. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Canada's already tangled in trade wars, political tension, and economic instability, and then this drops right in the middle of it all. No wonder alarm bells went off. So when Mark Carney got asked about the situation in public, the question hit hard. Was this foreign interference? Was the U.S. really trying to mess with Canada's internal divisions? Normally these kinds of questions get soft, diplomatic answers. But not this time. Carney didn't play their game. Not for a second. His response was sharp, calculated, and cold as ice. He didn't give the separatists the spotlight they wanted, didn't echo their message, didn't even let them take up space in the conversation. Instead, he pulled a power move. He made them irrelevant. Carney reminded everyone that the real decision-makers, the ones shaping Canada's future, were already in the room. The federal government, the provincial premiers, municipal leaders, and Indigenous partners were all part of the conversation. That kind of framing hit hard because it stripped the separatist movement of legitimacy without even throwing a punch. It quietly told Washington, "You're talking to the wrong people." Then came the turning point, the moment when Mark Carney stopped just answering questions and started laying down a line in the sand. He made it crystal clear. Any talk about Canada's future, Alberta's role, or internal politics is for Canadians to decide, not for foreign governments, not for outside influencers, and not even for so-called allies. No matter how powerful his words were, Carney didn't bother hiding behind polished diplomacy. He came out straight and firm. He said loud and clear that he expects the United States to respect Canadian sovereignty. That single word, sovereignty, carried serious weight. But Carney didn't stop there. He took it one step further, turning talk into action. He announced that this issue wouldn't just fade away in the media buzz. It was moving into formal diplomatic territory. Canada's representative in Washington would raise it officially, and the U.S. ambassador in Ottawa would be confronted directly. That move screamed seriousness. This was no longer a news headline or political soundbite. It had turned into a state-to-state matter.
With me now is CTV News political analyst and former Deputy Chief of Staff to former Finance Minister Bill Morneau, Sharon Carr. Sharon, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You know what? Interesting stuff as we look at this back and forth and maybe the contrast of how Mark Carney approached this speech at the World Economic Forum yesterday and Donald Trump's comments today. I mean, in particular, your reaction to Donald Trump and singling out Mark Carney, which the Prime Minister did not do specifically yesterday. But what do you think?
Well, if you were to compare the two speeches next to each other, I don't even think there's a day and night difference in terms of what the message was. Prime Minister Carney's speech, which was probably one of the most consequential speeches we'll hear of our time, compared to President Donald Trump, who kind of just went off on a bit of a downplayed rant, is what it sounded like, at one point even referring to it as Iceland. I think he approached it in a way where he watched the speech that Carney gave and is not happy about it, because Davos, the World Economic Forum, is a stage of the world's elites, CEOs, leaders, and Prime Minister Carney got a resounding thumbs up to his speech. So you could tell there's a level of, I don't know if it's embarrassment or frustration or annoyance, but you can tell in his tone and tenor that he's not pleased, but at the same time had to be semi-measured with what he said. So he could have gone a whole lot harder, but he was pretty incoherent for a good part of his speech. So it's hard to tell what exactly is going on.
What Carney did next was genius in its precision. He drained the emotion out of the chaos and replaced it with pure diplomatic procedure. That's how you shut down interference without letting it blow up into a fight. And in doing that, Carney sent Washington a message they couldn't ignore. You don't get to test Canada's unity. You don't get to play around with internal divides. And you definitely don't get to use our democracy as a bargaining chip. This wasn't about starting a confrontation. It was all about control and containment. Carney didn't need to raise his voice or throw around accusations. He stayed calm, cool, and razor sharp. No shouting, no threats, no drama, just a clear line in the sand. He made it known that the boundary had already been crossed, and he did it with quiet authority. That's what real confidence sounds like: steady, unshaken, and firm. Here's where the message truly hit home. Donald Trump's whole strategy thrives on division, breaking allies apart, digging into internal rifts, and turning frustration into leverage by cozying up to separatist movements. Trump wasn't hiding it. He was testing Canada, seeing if the country would crack under pressure. But Carney's response slammed that door shut instantly. No panic, no yelling, no chaos, just calm, solid authority. And that's a language Trump understands perfectly: power without noise. Then came the part where former New Brunswick Premier Brian Gallant stepped in with his own take. And he didn't hold back. He flat out called those secret meetings completely unacceptable. And then he broke it down in plain terms everyone could grasp, leaving no room for confusion or excuses. Picture this. Imagine Canada secretly meeting with a group trying to split California from the United States. Trump would absolutely lose it. That comparison hits hard because it exposes the double standard right away. The former premier didn't just call it out. He went deeper, warning about the real danger: foreign interference, disinformation, and outside players spreading lies to shake a province from the inside. And this isn't some what-if scenario. It's a playbook that's been used before. This whole situation goes way beyond a single press conference. What Trump's camp was really testing wasn't just Alberta, it was Canada's unity itself. Because external pressure only works when a nation's already divided, when those small internal cracks get blown up from the outside. That's why the former premier kept hammering on one key idea: unity. It's the real shield against manipulation, and Canada proved it in action. Premiers from all parties started working together. Sure, they've still got differences, but they're handling them behind closed doors, not letting outsiders turn them into weapons. Carney played it like a strategist. He framed it as a Team Canada issue without turning it into a spectacle. The federal government, provincial leaders, and Indigenous partners, all standing under one roof. That kind of unity kills any leverage because separatist movements only gain strength when others give them the mic. And Carney refused to do that. He shut it down completely, and the whole attempt just fizzled out. But the story didn't end there, not even close. Once Carney shut down the interference, things started moving fast behind the scenes. Word got out that Washington insiders weren't thrilled. They didn't expect Canada to respond with such quiet strength. Suddenly, the same people who'd been testing the waters were scrambling to explain themselves, pretending the meetings were informal or misunderstood. Yeah, right. Meanwhile, in Ottawa, the message was crystal clear. Canada wasn't going to play along. Officials started tightening communication with U.S. diplomats, making sure there was no confusion left about where the line stood. What had started as a sneaky test had now turned into a diplomatic reality check. Media outlets across North America began catching on, asking the hard question: why was Trump's circle even talking to separatists in the first place? It wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. And Carney's move made it clear that this kind of meddling wouldn't be tolerated no matter who tried it. Behind closed doors, political analysts started whispering that Carney's calm but firm tone had done more damage to Trump's influence than any loud public feud ever could. He didn't need to throw insults or make threats. He just outplayed the game with precision and confidence. By the end of the week, even some American officials were backing off, realizing Canada wasn't a pawn to be pushed around anymore. The line had been drawn, and this time, it was carved deep. Canada just sent a message the whole world can hear. Internal politics are off limits. No foreign government gets to use Canada's debates as leverage. Carney didn't explode, didn't point fingers, and didn't make it personal. He simply contained the chaos with quiet power. That's what real leadership looks like. Going forward, the rule is crystal clear. Any future attempt to mess with Canada's internal unity won't be brushed off as just politics. It'll be treated as a direct challenge to national sovereignty. And that shift changes everything. For Canadians, this brings a huge sense of reassurance. Our disagreements stay ours. They'll be handled by Canadians, for Canadians, without outside influence twisting the story. Trump's move was designed to stir up confusion and instability, but Carney flipped the script. His calm, calculated response turned noise into order, and confusion into clarity. And clarity? That's real strength. Trump tried to turn division into power, but Carney shut that door for good. Smooth, smart, and without a hint of panic. No drama, no surrender, no spectacle. Just a solid reminder. Canada decides Canada's future. That line wasn't blurred, it was drawn bold and final. If you want more straight-up, fact-driven breakdowns of global power plays and political pressure moves, subscribe, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments.